All right, I'm back, and hopefully this is going to work. I was in the middle of saying something that was probably super insightful, and I had a coughing fit and had to stop. So this whole making videos thing is not really my world or my forte. But anyhow, I'm in the middle of this drawing. I got various kinds of charcoal. There's a thunderstorm going on outside, so if you're wondering what all the weird noise and background hissing and sputtering is, it's the apocalypse. So it's gonna make a big mess. It's usually what I do when I'm in class. When I'm sitting there looking at the model, I do exactly this. I'm gonna wipe this out. It's just a regular paper towel. Just gonna wipe this out. Leaves me with sort of a ghost of an image. A couple spots I want to get rid of. I'm not going to get rid of them entirely. You can still see them. Just sort of lighten up this and focus on that. And then I'll go back to drawing. Don't know why I'm always in such a hurry. Well, I probably do know why. I worked for a long time in a factory, and then after the factory, I worked in retail, and after retail, I worked as a sign painter, and all three of those things, you work very, very fast. In the factory, we had somebody cracking the whip over our heads and threatening to beat us up and fire us and write us up and whatever if we didn't move faster. And then in retail, you've always got the next thing. Unload the truck and get the stuff on the shelves and run up front and help with the cashier because there's a line, and then there's some crisis in the back and you gotta go running back there and do that, and so you're always running. It's a very fast-paced kind of thing. In sign painting, you just didn't make very much money painting signs, and so you need to paint a lot of them in order to make any money. So I guess I just got into the habit of slam, 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 do everything as fast as I can, and now it's just me. And I could fight it, I could try to be somebody else, but you are who you are, and at this point, I do better just embracing what I am and letting that be a characteristic of my work. Yes, it's rushed. Yes, it's kind of messy. Yes, it's kind of madcap, and there's other people that do things much more carefully and precisely than I ever will. Good for them. It's not me. I now have midtones in the drawing. This is kind of the tone of her skin. So I could take this. This is an eraser. It's very dirty because it's got lots of charcoal in it. But I can just get in here and start erasing, pulling up some highlights. Not really highlights, actually. At this point, I'm pulling up just the lighter parts of her. and then maybe finally come in and do some of the little details. I would typically actually be standing at the easel and facing the easel, not turning sideways. I would have the computer, if I was using the computer, I would have it over here where I could just glance like that. But I've got to keep the computer out of the camera, and I've got to be where I can talk, and I've got to shoot the video to where the paper and my head are in the same place, because if I stand up, my head is up out of the frame. These are all things I'm learning, because I've made some videos where I said some stuff I thought was great, and the sound came out great, and the art came out great, and my head was not in the frame the whole time. And it's a little embarrassing, but such is life. You know, everybody's got one thing that they do really, really well, and they can't be an expert at everything. And of course, my one thing that I do really well is pole dancing, and you know, everything else, this art and video making, I'm kind of an amateur. So hopefully you can tell she's sitting. She's sitting on something. I was about to point to the model and say, you see what her hand is doing? But you can't see what her hand is doing. Right here, this hand is kind of doing this, and it's sort of ugly. So that's one of the things that I frequently find myself saying, oh yeah, I gotta change that. I can't have that. So I'm gonna alter the angle of this full arm just a little bit. I may have that wrong. like I say, I'll just make a mistake and then correct it. And it's, as far as I'm concerned, that's the way to draw. I don't want to plot and measure and spend all day. I want to jump in there. So I'm just going to do her hand a bit more. Keep the fingers together and just a little less scary looking, because her hand's actually kind of, little girl is just all graceful and beautiful, and then she's got this scary looking hand. Hands are hard. I won't say that I'm really good at them. Somebody said to me once, it's almost like you draw the whole figure, then you get down here to the wrist and you got a whole other figure to draw. Because there's that many small parts and small details. And it is kind of like that. Hands and feet are like a whole figure all to themselves. This hand over here is a little bit better, but I'm still changing it a little bit from the photograph that I have. You don't do it consciously, of course. They're probably thinking, oh God, how long is this pose, or something. The hand starts to claw. You're looking right at the tops of her feet. Another challenging thing to depict and not make it look like you did it wrong. You almost can't see the ankle there, it just kind of flows together. But don't worry, I'm about to give